The Poetry Slam is the East Midlands Poetry Slam, and it's part of the Word Present sequence of events that we've launched this quarter, and we'll be running one every quarter. It isn't the first slam we've run in Leicester, but it is the first East Midlands Poetry Slam that I know of. I think in recent history, certainly. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, slam generally is basically a gimmick to get people involved in stand-up poetry. It was invented in Chicago in the 80s, and it's become an international phenomenon. And the thing about slams, because it's a live poetry competition, whatever anyone says, everyone who enters it wants to win. And so everyone goes up there and performs their socks off. They do the best poems they've got. They don't overrun on the 3 minutes. And so by its very nature, slam is always of a higher quality of material and performance than the average open mic night. And so for audiences it's brilliant, because even if there's a poem on that you don't like, you know that there's something completely different on 3 minutes later.
High maintenance man. The key to matrimonial contentment wasn't spending all this time down his allotment.
We have been together so long, and you have been such a faithful servant. O garden trowel, sleep soundly in the shed. How was that? Did I hear you correctly? Are you talking to me?
She lets me choose the pattern and the wool. I linger over mini-skirted girls coveting their knee-high socks and beaming confidence, while she weighs whales and courses, diamonds, cables, knit and pearl.
Push the right buttons and my anger will brew. I've got a big ego that gets easily bruised. I caught myself again today, but nothing is new. Feel like a winner that is destined to lose.
They glamorise the action men who walk out, then come back, in time to save the kids from earthquakes or from alien attack. But don't you think their mothers would have coped fine on their own, having brought their kids up safely through the trials of life alone?
It's not easy being a millipede. It's not easy being a millipede. I'm always glued to the telly, waiting for the weather forecast, consulting my barometer, talking of isobars and fronts, impatiently waiting for the wind to pick up.
When I took her out, she chatted the muscle to buy fags and beer, always on the hustle. She hated social workers, policemen too. Men treated her rough, and then she was blue.
Culture. Have you got a culture? I grew up with a culture. Let me tell you. Leicester was my place of birth, but you know what? Me come with Guyanese parents. What you say?
Oh, I thought they were very, very strong. We're not meant to react on stage.
Shit.
We're not meant to react.
They were great.
Yeah. We're not meant to react on stage because obviously we're in the background and everyone can see our faces. We don't want to prejudice the judges or prejudice the audience response. But there were certain points when I just couldn't contain myself. It was really hard not to show signs outwardly of enjoying stuff.
Mark Neal's hairy back was
yeah.
veritably a highlight for me. It was a genuine moment of psychological bewilderment. And no, it was a delight. It was a genuine cross-section of people, high quality of acts, and yeah, everyone shone. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
We need to talk.
Google's me. The first to speak for 3 years. Shed tears over fears in his dealings with haters' needs. What a way to handle such a scandal of remedies expenses.
We need to talk. You know what about? Tension's been building, and before we burst out of our skins, become emotionally unstable, let's clear the air, put our cards on the table.
There's a lot of strange men in computer programming, but the strangest one of all is a work colleague of mine who spends his time squeezing his stress ball. Every day he sits there silent, sullen, typing away, furiously until 10:30. Then he sits back and squeezes his ball. And at 10:31, another strange behaviour. He sits and gazes longingly at the image on his screensaver.
I live low budget. Life is lonely. Loads of loans get blown on dope alone. I moan, I can't budget. Stiff as stone, semesters slip like Sanders statues standing still with Stanley slices. Cars get sellotaped. I'm slightly scathed, but still surviving.
Gobbles, Mick. The first to speak and go in 300 years, shedding tears over fears in his beers with Hazel Blears. What a way to handle such a scandal over MP's expenses. What defences? Such pretences.
We travel while your stepdad is stranded. Your stepdad's a castle, thinks he's strong, defiant, vats of burning oil high on his battlements.
Well, Word will be continuing its Word Presents series and we'll be putting the latest events up on our website, wordpoetry.co.uk. And we will continue with Word every month. As usual, all information will be on our website about that. What other events have we got coming up and how will we tell people about them? I suppose we could mention our sponsor, Leicester Libraries. They have their own newsletter.
Yes, while they're still around, the libraries will have a newsletter.
Libraries, yeah.
And they're sponsoring us. We're in a very harsh climate of cuts and unpleasantness, and so we don't know how long the libraries are around for, but certainly in the time being, we're delighted to be associated with them.
Yeah, and if you are not a member of the library already, if you go in and become a member, then you should qualify to receive the Book Doctors Library e-update. And so that'll be another way of finding out about what's going on in the region. There's also Charnwood Arts, the Writing Industries Network, and if you just Google Writing Industries Network, Win, Charnwood Arts, stuff will come up there as well, and that's another source of information. So libraries, Charnwood Arts, Win, and Word. Win and Word. And that's all you need to know, I'm sure, about anything in life.
The embers of my cigarette.
Poetry voice. Poetry voice. I'm reading this poem in my poetry voice.
Hat and a dressing gown.
I wish I wasn't. But I don't have a choice because this is my poetry voice. Poetry.
The embers of my cigarette flare with brazen egotism, daring to assume that they might pierce this all-consuming veil. I've never felt such primal darkness. A child of teeming cityscapes, my every hour filled with screaming neon bulbs that paint the shadows into ragged angles, blotting out the stars behind a screen of false enlightenment that robs the night of mystery by bathing all our secrets in a phosphorescent haze.
And they're all inside his flat. See, he never goes out anymore. Says this magic doesn't work out there. It's all happening here. It really makes me rainbows while I make his tea.
Poetry voice! Poetry voice! I'm getting on your tits with my poetry voice! Should I stop? Rhetorical. Or you may not pay my invoice, but this is my poetry voice. Thank you.
I'm not entirely sure that I'm not still asleep, and this all wasn't an incredible fever dream of some description, to be quite honest. It's been amazing. The people who have come along have been so incredibly enthusiastic. The audience have had such a good taste and a real attuned sensibility for poetry, and everyone has just been so supportive. And the calibre of work that people have come up with this evening has just been... I've just been sitting there shivering, going, I need to get rid of these poems. I need to write something better just to compete with these poems.
There's been a really great range of poetry, from the serious to the funny. There's been some great performances tonight, and met some lovely people. It's been a really excellent event. Well done to Lydia and Rob and everyone who involved in Word.
It's been really well organised. Yeah. I mean, you know, I've come here, I haven't met either of these chaps before, and it's just fantastic to hear other people's poems. It's always gorgeous to inflict your own words on new people, but, you know, to meet other folks, you know, yes, it's wonderful.
To meet other people who are as passionate about it as you are really makes a difference. It makes you want to keep writing and come along more and keep doing these.
We can't kid ourselves. It is a niche market, performance poetry, so, you know, we've got to kind of like stick together, haven't we? And it's just really lovely to hear inspiring work.
But other art forms, watch out, because we're coming for you.
Yeah, defo. Yeah.
Please welcome, fantastically, it's a delight to announce the winner of the East Midlands Poetry Slam, therefore the East Midlands Poetry Slam champion, Nathan Lunt.